Hi, I'm Tom Marino. At Cohn-Resnick, we believe that all citizens need to be informed about the issues that affect their daily lives. That's why we're proud to support the programming produced by Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Berkeley College, MagnaCare, Kessler Foundation, changing the lives of people with disabilities, the Fidelco Group, Fedway Associates, United Airlines, and by Cohn-Resnick, Accounting, Tax, and Advisory, where forward thinking creates results. Promotional support provided by The Record, North Jersey's trusted source, and NorthJersey.com. And by New Jersey Monthly, the magazine of the Garden State, available at newsstands.
This is One-on-One.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
People like laughing at others, so I don't mind if the other is me.
See, you go right into the character. That's what it is.
I'm bringing families together a half an hour each week. Man, I'm doing something special.
And so I do feel successful.
Hi, Steve Adubato. We're here in beautiful New Providence, New Jersey. I'm here with my colleague, Joanna Gagas, the host of Life and Living. This is a one-on-one special. Joanna, we're here with the New Jersey Sharing Network. Tell everyone what today is.
Today's a 5K event. It's actually the 5-year anniversary of this event, where people come together, both organ tissue donors and recipients, to talk about their stories, to celebrate the lives that have been given and the lives that have been saved.
The horn's about to go off. The runners are about to go off now. The walkers, that's what I would be in right now. They'll be going off in a little while. Extraordinary day. They just said it's an emotional event. People are giving life. People have received life. 10,000 people are here today with the New Jersey Sharing Network. A special day. We're about to talk to those people. Listen to the countdown. It's a walk, it's a run, it's a special day, but I'll tell you what, the people you're about to meet have given so much and gotten so much. Check it out. One of the leaders, one of the stars of today, we have Peter Rooney, who is the foundation chairman of the New Jersey Network Foundation chairman. It's an extraordinary event, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot of stars here today, Steve, starting with the families, the donor families, the recipients, the staff, fellow board members. I'm glad you can make it out here. This is our celebration of life today. 10,000 people out here celebrating life. So it's a real accomplishment for us to watch it grow over the past 5 years.
What's interesting is that a lot of the folks who are involved with the Sharing Network, either on the board or on the executive team, they have some sort of connection, some sort of personal connection. You have a personal connection. Talk about it.
Sure do. My father was a Milburn firefighter for 32 years. He devoted his life work to saving and helping others. Unfortunately, he passed away without receiving the organ that he needed. And I'm here in his memory working as a volunteer and board member to help spread the word about organ donation and help deliver our mission of saving and enhancing lives for people in New Jersey.
When did you decide, hey, I'm going to do this?
When my father got sick, my father was a chronic kidney disease patient, and I wanted to volunteer. I came down to the New Jersey Sharing Network 10 years ago, became a volunteer, and then Elise Glennon, you want to talk about all-stars, Elise Glennon asked me to be on the board, and then I'm privileged to be chairman of the board now. So it's easy to get involved. There's a lot of ways for us to donate our time and talent to a great cause.
A lot of the corporate supporters who are here today. Message to the corporate community.
We couldn't do what we do without our corporate sponsors from Pfizer, Novartis, my company, Ogilvy Common Health. They are the foundation bedrock of what we do here and provide us the funds to create events like this, education programs. So really, thank you to all the corporate sponsors who are out there.
And finally, the message to all those watching right now about the need.
There's a tremendous need. Last year, we were able to save nearly 500 people's lives here in New Jersey. We helped enhance the lives of thousands. This year, through events like this, we're able to raise money and awareness that's going to help even more next year. So we're excited to be here. We're excited that we have such a great turnout, and we look forward to doing more good.
You know, it's interesting. We were talking to Joe Roth, who said after 10,000, they actually can't fit that many more people into this location in New Providence, New Jersey. Satellite events. spreading the word, spreading the events to other locations. Is that right?
That's right. Organ donation is something that everybody can get behind. You can see that from our turnout here today, 10,000 people. We held our first annual event in Bergen County. We're looking to move to South Jersey as well next year. So this celebration of life, really, which is going to be 3 key events, this as the hallmark event, we're doing a lot of good. So and we get a lot of support. So we're very grateful for it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Steve.
We are here at the New Jersey Sharing Network annual event. It's a 5K walk. It's a run as well, and we're here with Bruce Goldstein, chairman of the board, New Jersey Sharing Network. You just said it was the 10th anniversary of what?
10th anniversary of my heart transplant, 10 years ago, May 29, 2005.
How you feeling?
I feel great.
You look great.
I feel great, and this is an extraordinary event, Steve.
Describe why.
Well, for me, and I have to retain my composure, to see all these people all contributing to this extraordinary cause. I mean, as you walk around, you see so many donor families who all made the decision to give the gift of life. How remarkable that is, and how great that it's being celebrated in this way on this beautiful day. It's just beyond description.
You know, we've talked to some of the people who have received the gift of life, some who have given, but also some family members. We talked to a mom whose 2-year-old child passed, but the gift of life was given by her daughter. We talked to so many. We also just talked to a mom whose daughter, I think it was in her 30s or 40s, who gave the gift of life to a woman who was standing right next to the mom, who received her organs and lives because of that. Now, back and forth, recipients, donors, people who aren't here who gave. It's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. It really shows what we can do as a society, how we can help each other in the most extraordinary way of all, the most valuable way of all, to help someone live in the midst of tragedy. It's a phenomenal thing. You know, last night I read the Washington Post, and I was reading about the funeral of Joe Biden and the horrible
of Bo
Biden.
Yeah. I was reading the same thing.
And I listened to that, and how do you recover from that? Well, this is a way to recover from that terrible loss. Not as if it's a recovery, but it's such an extraordinary thing to do. It's so valuable. It's so meaningful.
We're doing this at the beginning of June, on a beautiful Sunday. It'll be aired after that, and you're talking about Bo Biden, and I was thinking the same thing. Vice President Biden, their family, but Vice President Biden buries his son. So many people here talked about it's not supposed to go that way, but in fact it has gone that way, but they're trying to make sense of it by giving to others. Is that a lot of what it comes down to, Bruce?
I think so. I think it provides meaning to life, literally meaning to life.
What else would you do if you didn't do that, right?
Well, the problem is you can wallow in grief, and that's understandable. It's totally understandable, but
we're not judging anyone.
No, but this is such a marvelous, utterly religious thing to do, to honor the sanctity of life. And you walk around here, and every one of these tents, every one of these teams, on the one hand, has a tale of terrible tragedy, and on the other hand, it's extraordinary celebration of life. It's just an amazing thing to behold.
By the way, what has this heart done for you? You're looking in great shape. You're ready to work out right here on Sunday. What has it done for you in the last 10 years?
Oh my God, it's given me the opportunity to A, be with my wife, B, see both of my children married, see my grandchildren born, continue to practice as a lawyer, continue to go to classical concerts. You know, we went to a jazz concert last Saturday night to celebrate. It's been wonderful.
And finally, the message to everyone watching right now on the air. They say, listen, isn't that great what they're doing at the Sharing Network, but what does it have to do with me?
Everything. It has everything to do with you and with your loved ones and with your friends, because it provides someone with the opportunity to life. And you know what? It may even be you. If anybody told me 15 years ago that I would be a heart transplant recipient, I would have been beyond shock. And the irony is that this race is taking place about 6 blocks from where we initially raised our family. So the ironies of life are just remarkable.
I'm going to press you a little further. Finally, what do you say to those recipients waiting right now?
God bless. Hold in. There'll be an organ for you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you so much. You've done so much for us.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
I'm here with Maria Perez, who's here today honoring her son Roberto. Maria, talk about Rob and why you started this team.
Okay, I started this team, it's going to be 18 years ago, since Robert was 18 when he came from college and complained of headache. Working myself in the medical field, never thought of anything. So we decided just to bring him to a hospital to check to be sure there was nothing wrong. So as soon as they did a CAT scan, they told me that Robert had a brain aneurysm. So they transferred him in an ambulance to Inglewood Hospital. And they kept him in the ICU for 3 days to see if they were able to dissolve the blood clot in his brain. But 3 days later, they told me that it was impossible. So the only way was surgery. So we decided to do the surgery. It was 13-hour surgery. He came out fine, but 3 hours later, he was brain dead. At that time, my husband, myself, my friends, my family, they were all there. We didn't know anything about organ donation. And it was, I think, God who came to my husband. And he said to me, why we don't donate Robert's organ without knowing, never.
So this was something your husband thought of without ever having been approached by any organization or anyone, any individual.
Correct. And at that time, I was a crazy woman. So they even had to hold me up because, my son is leaving me. I said, to be honest with you, I said no. But then I went away, an hour later I came back, and it was like God talking to me. Robert was a sport person. He was the soccer team of the Norbergen High School, and he played all the sports. And I said, why not help other people? So that's when I said, yes, we're going to donate his organ. And I'm so happy because this is why my reason I'm still here, because he donated the organ and he saved 5 people.
Have you had a chance to meet the people whose lives you and your husband and your son touched through this amazing gift of life?
Yes, right now, today, 2 of the heart recipient sons, a daughter and a son, and a granddaughter coming, walking with me. Ralph is 85 years old. He's still pumping. The heart is still pumping. The cardiologist sent me through my email EKG, which that belongs to my son Robert. The kidney recipient lives in Cape May, Frank. He's doing wonderful. We go and visit him every year. We go fishing because they have a fishing boat and everything. So my son is still here, and I'm so happy to belong to the NJ Charity Network and spread the word. When I go to my country, Costa Rica, I talk to people about it. I bring information, and this is the way I keep his memory alive.
How has this impacted you and your husband over the last 18 years to be sharing Rob's story and to be knowing that you're spreading the word to other people about the importance of this life-saving activity?
It changed my life completely in a way that I know now what I want to do when I retire, work for the NJ Charity Network. If they accept me as a volunteer.
Oh, I have a feeling that's not going to be a question.
We've been doing this for 18 years. And this is my second family. And losing my son, it's pain. But like I said, he's my son, he's my angel, he's my hero. Because of him, 5 people were safe.
Well, we're honored to meet you, to hear Rob's story, and to be able to share it to our audience, who no doubt is going to understand the impact that this has had on you and on so many others. Thank you so much, Maria.
Thank you.
Nina, let's talk about the gift of life. Your family gave the gift of life. Timmy gave the gift of life. You received the gift of life. Let's talk about it. Talk about Timmy.
Timmy was an amazing young man. He loved life, he loved his family, he loved his nation, and he loved the earth, and he was very respectful to all. So when he was in his accident, it was really a profound loss for our family.
And what did the family decide to do? And then we'll talk about how you come into the picture.
Well, I was fortunate. About 2 months before his accident, Timmy and I actually had a very long discussion about organ donation and the impact of the gift of life. And we had made a pact to make sure we protect each other and we support each other's wishes if we were not in a position to do so. And coincidentally, he was in an accident about 2 months later. So for myself, the best gift I could have given him at the end of his life on earth was to honor his wishes. So it was the right thing to do.
And how do you come into the picture?
I was home and, they called me. I waited 4 years on the list for a kidney and, and they called one morning and I went and I wrote to the family. When you get an organ, they don't tell you who it comes from. They give it to you and you have to do it. So I got home 6 days after. I wrote to Nina. I bring the letter to the hospital and, we exchange like that until we start writing to each other. It brings a very spiritual thing to you when you receive something like, it makes everything else like, economic stuff isn't anymore. You know what I mean? You can
not that important.
Laws and everything, but that don't make you go to the bathroom or this or feel good or have color and everything. Yeah.
When did you guys meet?
2005 or before the end of the year that I got the kidney. I think 2 months after I got it, we meet right away.
What was that like when you met?
It was overwhelming. It was very emotional. It was very emotional. I was still in deep grief, but at the same time joyous that Timmy lived on. He provided life for another person, a quality of life for another person and family. It's not just the individual, it's the family you impact, and all the friends and everybody else that a person's associated with. So it's nothing short of completely emotional.
What was it like for you?
Life-changing, I go on vacation without having to plan to go to dialysis. I do everything, I get up in the morning, I'm happy to wake up, I go to the bathroom like everybody else. I don't have to think about anything I'm doing and, I don't know, I get very emotional inside, like when I talk, and when I met Nina, I have to meet her, if not for her, I'm not walking around, man. I spend lots of time in the hospital, I spend lots of time in dialysis. It's a very time-consuming thing and, I don't know, I'm lucky to be alive,
We're lucky to have both of you here, and thank you for sharing your story and being a part of today. What would you say to the folks of the Sharing Network?
I would say continue to do the great work you do. And I also want to say, being a critical care nurse for about 25 years, working bedside with the amazing hospital teams around the state and the nation, this could not have happened without the support of the hospital that I was working for and the hospital that cared and provided the utmost respect for my son Timmy. So I want to give a shout out to those teams. Continue to be the amazing professionals you are. And thank you, Sharing Network.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
The New Jersey Sharing Network brought us together, and this guy, Dr. Stu Geffner, knows this better than anyone, the gift of life. You've been a part of this operation for a long time. You've been part of this giving the gift of life and the whole kidney transplant world. Why is today special?
This is a fantastic event just to raise awareness about organ donation. There are so many thousands of people in New Jersey and nationwide that are waiting for precious kidneys, heart, liver, lungs. There's a tremendous shortage of donor organs, not just in New Jersey, but nationwide. This raises awareness. It helps to improve our rate of organ donation, helps us save more lives. The awareness about living donation as well, all things rolled into one. To see donor families here, recipient families here, it's just a very, very powerful event and a great event to be a part of.
We're here at the New Jersey Sharing Network event. The race is done, the run is done, the walk is in progress. So I get a few minutes with Elise Clendon. Let me ask you something. How the heck do you and Joe Roth and your team do this every year?
We do it because we love it. We love the families, we love the mission, we love the cause. We work every day to focus on saving lives through organ and tissue transplantation, and it's amazing. It's an honor and privilege to work here with Joe and with all of our clinical teams to make this work happen.
Yeah, my colleague Joanna Gagis out there talking to folks as well, people who have given the gift of life, people who have received it, and those who are family members of those who are not with us any longer, talking about their family members and the gift that they gave. We got to talk to some of those people. Pretty extraordinary.
Yeah, they are. Our families are really extraordinary. We talk to them a lot throughout the year on the phone at different events, but this event, when everyone comes together, when they come with their family and friends of 50 people, 100 people, and they really feel the support of their family, friends, and their community, and they get to meet other families who have experienced either the same tragic loss or the same celebratory transplant that they have, it shows them they're part of a bigger community, and it's part of their grief and healing process. And for us at the Sharing Network, it reminds us of why we do this work that we do every day.
A lot of us who are in the nonprofit world, we got here some way, but the work that you and your colleagues do at the Sharing Network is so special, so extraordinary. I'm curious, how'd you get into it?
Yeah, well, this is the best job I've ever had, and it's the best job I ever will have. I previously was an administrator in a hospital. So I've been in healthcare. Prior to that, I was in nonprofit with the United Way, and prior to that, the Children's Miracle Network. So
all great jobs.
Yeah, they were all great jobs, all for great causes. I've always wanted to give back and to help people. And when I met Joe Roth and I met the team at the Sharing Network, I thought there's just no other place I'd rather be.
Describe the reward that you get. I mean, a lot of times it's got to be disappointing as well, because things don't always work out the way you want. But when it does, what's it like?
And this is a really challenging place to be, because our staff puts in 110% to recover organs for transplant. And as you know, and as you've said, there's a number of things that can go wrong there. And when you put your all into it and you're thinking about that recipient on the other end, something goes wrong and they don't get that transplant, it is difficult. It's very difficult for the staff. But then the next day, they'll meet a family, they'll meet a recipient, they'll meet a family of a patient waiting, or they'll meet a family who lost a loved one and whose loved one's life is living on through others. And they'll thank them, they'll hug them, and it makes it all worthwhile. Seeing the families makes it all worthwhile.
You know, when I got a chance to speak to the audience, these 10,000 folks a little earlier ago when the walk was starting. And of the many people I talked to, one of them that really stuck them, everyone was special, but I talked to the one mom who was here talking about her daughter, Savannah, who was 2. And she said that, the mom said that she and her family come up here and the whole time they're crying, and then they're walking and they're crying, but there's a part of it, there are tears of joy in that too, because they know what they're doing is pretty incredible, and they're also obviously thinking about their daughter. She said, but it's our way of making sense of something that doesn't make sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And when they're here and they're crying, we're crying with them. And they know that we've not forgotten. In Savannah's case, we've not forgotten Savannah, and we certainly haven't forgotten any of the organ and tissue donors who we're celebrating today. And I think that the family...
We're celebrating them.
We are. We're celebrating their life, the life that they lived, whether it was 2 years or 20 years or 70 years. We're celebrating the life that they lived, and we're celebrating that great gift they gave as the last gift they gave before they left us. And it's really important for us that the families know we will not forget their loved ones ever. And they come here to an event like that and they see it. Like I said, we cry with them, we laugh with them, we hug the families. We're a part of their family and they're part of ours.
Finally, I asked Joe Roth, and I asked everybody else this question. I'm going to ask you as well, because we got involved in this in public broadcasting largely to increase awareness. That's our goal, because the need continues to exist. It's greater than any one of us would want the need to be. What's the message to everyone watching right now? What is the message about the need and what people can do and should do right now?
And I hope that the event like this and seeing the stories and the families inspires everyone in New Jersey to think about their own life, their own legacy that they'd like to leave, to think about how they would feel if their loved one was on the transplant waiting list, waiting for someone else to make that decision to donate their organs at the time that they pass. So I'd like everybody to really think about themselves and about the legacy they'd like to live, and to register themselves as an organ and tissue donor.
It's an amazing gift.
Yes, it is. It's amazing. It is remarkable. It's extraordinary. It's absolutely extraordinary. The families here are extraordinary.
Thanks, Elise.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for all of your support throughout the last few years. All the programming that you do for us certainly educates people. It's beyond just awareness and inspiration. It is true education, and our community needs that as well to make an informed decision.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Berkeley College, MagnaCare, Kessler Foundation, the Fidelco Group, Fedway Associates, United Airlines, and by Cone Resnick. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.